Hello guys, Crispy and welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing the Nvidia GeForce RTX 4070 Ti in Call of Duty Warzone 2. This one is the Palit Gamerock Midnight Kaleidoscope version of the card. It's very beautiful, but that's a very big name. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers at the time of recording this video, and I am not overclocking it. This is in OC mode with the dual BIOS switch, by the way. Over in Tech Power-Ups GPU Z, you can see all of the GPU specs. Resizable bar is enabled. It has 12 gigabytes of GDDR6X VRAM, 7680 CUDA cores, and, well, it released like a week ago or so, a couple of weeks maybe. Over on the left, we're pairing it with the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D and 32 gigabytes of RAM, dual channel, CL14 3533 MHz, and let's get right into it now, shall we? Alright, first of all, let's go through the settings. We're playing at 1080p, and we're also going to test this one at 1440p and 4K resolutions, and we're using the minimum settings aside from texture resolution, which is set to normal, because we do have 12 gigabytes of VRAM after all, so might as well make the game look a little bit prettier. This is for those of you who want a competitive advantage in this game. You know, it's easier to spot people at low settings, and you do get way more FPS, of course, so there's that. Let's drop in the usual place, Zarqwa Hydroelectric, one of the most intensive areas in this entire map because it has a ton of water, and yeah, so far those FPS are absolutely insane at 200 plus, and we're not even utilizing the GPU fully, you know, it's actually being CPU bottlenecked at this moment, so yeah. That's to be expected with a strong GPU at 1080p resolution. These GPUs aren't really made for 1080p gaming anyways, but if you require all of the FPS possible, well, this is it. It actually goes up by quite a bit, GPU utilization, you know, 89% at times, near the water. This is super intensive usually, but, well, at 1080p low settings, the FPS don't even drop near the water. That's really good to see. You can actually have a super high refresh rate experience with a 4070 Ti at this resolution. Now, I don't really recommend anyone out there to pick up this GPU for 1080p gaming. I think it really shines at 1440p, but, well, if you want to be very competitive at the game, it can definitely provide a super high refresh rate experience here at this res. Also, I gotta mention that we're basically testing what the 5800X 3D can do at this moment, because GPU is not at 99%, so if you had a faster CPU, say a 13900K or something similar to that, you would see more GPU utilization and more frames, of course, but yeah, this is only 1080p. So it's expected for you to have a CPU bottleneck. So far away from the water, things are improving slightly into like the 220s actually at times. I'm used to saying 120s because that's usually the FPS that I get in my videos, not 200s. But yeah, you can see that in a little bit of a forest area with a lot of vegetation, it doesn't even drop because, again, we're not GPU bound yet. DLSS will get us exactly the same FPS here at this res, I believe. Let's just go ahead and enable that. So quality, 69% sharpness, of course, perfect number. And maybe it gets slightly higher frames, but we are now more CPU bound, so it's around the same experience anyways. For a 240 Hz 1080p monitor, this would do it absolutely fine, especially with a faster CPU again, guys. Now, you might actually enjoy the look of DLSS better than native resolution. It's like you're using some different form of anti-aliasing here, and previously we weren't using any anti-aliasing whatsoever. With the SMAA T2X on the lowest setting, it's like native res, maybe slightly softer, but yeah, it's certainly a different look here. I think it makes it a little bit harder to spot people at the distance if you're not playing at native res and if you are using DLSS compared to like the T2X stuff, at least. The Filmic T2X stuff is just terrible, by the way. Alright, there we go. Kill, very nice. And he had these good shields, so that's great. But yeah, there are certainly a few people who enjoy DLSS better than native res, and this is for them. Basically, the FPS and the experience is the same as native resolution. It's just a little bit different of a look. Let's stop it there. 208 FPS average. That is absolutely amazing. Very good results, and we got a kill. That's amazing. And let's disable DLSS right here and set it to 1440p. Here we go, 2560 by 1440, using the exact same settings, medium textures, everything else on the lowest and 100% resolution scale. And surprise, surprise, it is still getting the same FPS as 1080p, but now that GPU utilization is at around like 90%, which is much better, of course, much better usage. And near the water, it actually goes up to 99% usage. So now we're actually seeing a little bit of a difference here when dropping into the water. It can drop into like the 150s at the minimum. If you're just splashing around and chafurdando into the water, as I like to say, it's a Portuguese word for like splashing around water, it can drop to like 150, 151, I think it was the minimum there. So pretty decent results still for like a 144, 165 hertz 1440p monitor, or even a 240 hertz 1440p monitor, because sometimes it goes up into the 200s, as you can see, almost 220 there. So you will be able to feel that difference on a super high refresh rate monitor for sure, even at native 1440p. So that's quite nice, of course. With DLSS, things should get even better, so can't wait to test that out as well. But yeah, in my little benchmark run over in Zarqwa Hydroelectric, which is super intensive, it doesn't disappoint. Really nice performance here. Going up into the 220s. We are still CPU bound most of the time. GPU usage is now dropping into the lower 80s, higher 70s at times. So with that 13900K, it would get you more FPS, maybe like 220 on average instead of 200, but this is still a very strong combo, not gonna lie. 5800X3D is probably one of the best, if not the best, gaming CPU for the money out there right now, especially in Europe, compared to like 3900K, which is like, what, 700, 800 bucks here. Where's the guy? Over here. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, we got him. Good stuff. Last bullet as well. Hello there. Why are you reviving yourself? You shouldn't do that. I was right in front of you, buddy. We should probably enable DLSS, right? And see the FPS in there again. Oh, there's a train passing by. Okay, maybe somebody is camping on the train. I don't know. Okay, DLSS on quality, again with 69% sharpness. And, oh, again, it looks like you apply some anti-aliasing. It's not like TAA, it doesn't get as soft as TAA, but in some areas it isn't as sharp as native resolution. But it's still very good looking, and especially on a native 1440p monitor, DLSS does look awesome. So you might want to use it if you have that 240 hertz monitor, guys. You're not really losing out on picture clarity too much at this higher res. Oh, someone's shooting at us. I was hearing something, I just didn't know it was for us. I don't know where he is. He has like a sniper rifle or something. Stop! Stop! I need to go here. Okay, everything is fine. What the... Okay, let's not go there. Maybe there's somebody like camping around here. That's terrifying. All right, let's get out. Back to being CPU bound, 70% usage. But now, since we are fully CPU bound, I guess, FPS should be a little bit higher as well because, well, before we were GPU bound at times and the GPU was limiting the performance of the CPU. I would say that this is actually pretty perfect. It's perfect for a 240 hertz 1440p experience if you use DLSS. It's really good performance. It's very sad to see though that these GPUs are retailing for like around 1,000 euros in Europe, and some models can be found for a bit less, like 930, 950. But yeah, it's a steep price to pay for sure for a 1440p gaming GPU. It still does pretty well at 4K, but again, I really think it shines more at this resolution. Anyways, chafurdando around here, 98, 97% GPU utilization and still getting 200s. Nothing to complain about, guys. Super buttery smooth here. Now let's disable DLSS and set it to 4K resolution. That's 3840 by 2160. There we go. Resolution is now applied, and 100% resolution scale. Everything else is the same with normal textures still. Okay, and I heard that they put a UAV up, so maybe they're looking at us right now at this little building. All right, I don't see the other guy. He's not around here. A little bit of a stutter right there. That's a first. I haven't seen any stuttering at lower resolutions, by the way. It could be because of that VRAM usage. Ooh, dropping down into the lower 100s, higher 90s. And that frame time graph, it just isn't as smooth. But again, it could be the VRAM. So lowering textures to low could probably fix it. It's just weird that you can't use medium textures at 4K without a little bit of stutter. Oh, there's a guy right here. Open this up and go through here, I guess. Oh, no, that was a terrible idea. Camping bastard. Well, at least now we can actually leave the game and lower that texture quality at 4K and see if that's causing the issues, the stuttering. So I'll set it to very low, just gonna restart the game to make sure that it fully applies everything. All right, now that VRAM utilization is way more under control at 5.5 gigabytes. That was close. I don't think many people are dropping with us. There's a guy right there. Okay, let's start counting the frames now. 99% GPU utilization, still fluctuating a little bit, but that's just because of slight frame time variations that you can see there in the graph. So it is still micro stuttering a little bit, okay? And it's dropping into the 90s, higher 90s once again. Same stuff as the medium textures, by the way, and pretty much the same 1% lows as well, right? So I guess it's just 4K being super intensive. Or maybe lower FPS actually makes your frame time go to hell a little bit. I feel like it is stuttering a little bit less than previously, so there's that, guys. Previously the VRAM was at 10.5 gigabytes, but this game can only utilize 80% of the VRAM to avoid some more stuttering issues, you know, of fully maxing out that VRAM buffer. I would play at these settings. Oh, look at those 1% low, 69. Oh, not anymore, but yeah, it was almost perfect, guys. Now, wait a second. Nice, we got another one right there. Perfect. Oh, we're doing quite well today, my friends. Anyways, around this area, it drops down into the 130s. Also in the warm-up area, I also dropped around there, I think, again. And I was seeing 150s and 160s, so FPS will vary depending on where you are in the map. It's still a high refresh rate experience here at 4K. It just doesn't look very good because of that texture, you know. So if you don't mind a few stutters here and there, go ahead and play at medium textures. If you do mind that, like I do, play at absolute minimum settings and you will be fine at 4K for a competitive advantage. But honestly, it's kind of sad to see that 12 gigabytes are struggling at 4K. Good thing about 4K, by the way, is that you can actually spot people from this far away. I instantly saw that guy just running down the hill there. Let's just go prone over here and play with some DLSS. That should improve our FPS by quite a bit. I leave it on quality because, you know, that looks basically almost like native res. I can see a little bit more different of a look for sure, but you can still spot people very, very well at the distance anyways. There is a guy in our building. Oh boy, wait a second. I don't know where he is. We're just gonna go, guys. We're gonna go, move to the water, see the FPS. If you want a very high refresh rate experience, even at 4K resolution for a 144Hz 4K monitor, you can comfortably stay above like 120 FPS all of the time. So that is indeed a competitive experience. Absolutely. Very, very smooth, even in the water, so no problems. And in terms of frame time consistency, it's little stuttery. You can see a lot of little spikes there, but I can't really feel them. Over here, not dropping too much, still 120 plus. Yep, that's pretty damn good. That's the power of DLSS. It looks great, it performs amazingly, and it gets you a high refresh rate experience 100% of the time at 4K. We should now move on to like extreme settings for those of you who want that visual experience. I am gonna disable this one, the filmic stuff, it just looks terrible. Set this to ultra quality, and everything else I'll leave as is. On the extreme settings preset, not absolutely maximum settings, okay? And I will also disable depth of field because I think it looks pretty bad in this one. And I also set it back to 1080p to start this off. So extreme settings, 1080p, no DLSS. All right, while dropping, things are pretty close to like 200 FPS. That's pretty nice to see. All right, I was seeing around 200 in the warm-up as well, but the warm-up wasn't in this area, and this is way more intensive, as we know already. Now we're fully GPU bound, finally, at the highest settings, even at 1080p resolution. So again, low settings plus 1080p is just too low of settings to play with like the 40 series GPUs, at least the ones that released so far. In the water, things drop from 140, as you can see, into the 130s, 120s minimum. Still a high refresh rate experience, but yeah, I was expecting a little bit higher performance, not gonna lie. But if you're not a fish and you don't like to go inside of the water in this one, it's fine. If you don't stay in there for a long period of time, it's gonna be really, really dang smooth. Almost 200 FPS once again in this scenario. Not bad whatsoever. And inside of a little forest area, it drops into the 160s. That's around what we were seeing in this little city hydroelectric area, you know. At the end of it, 170 FPS average and 92.1% lows. Pretty good stuff. No stuttering issues either. Let's use some DLSS. Almost forgot about that. Quality. And that should push our frames up into the 200s. Yep, it does indeed. A little bit softer here at 1080p using DLSS. That's what I'm seeing, especially at the maximum settings. It wasn't as soft on the low settings, but I'm also using a 42-inch monitor. So, of course, 1080p doesn't really look great. If you have a native 1080p monitor, it's gonna look really good. If you're wondering, in the Gulag, it gets up to 250 frames per second, and that's what you should expect in the multiplayer maps as well. I'm actually gonna start counting the frames in the Gulag as well. Look at that. That's insane. In the multiplayer, I actually gotta test this in the multiplayer. That should be fun as well. Super high FPS, you know. There's a guy right there, I think, still. And at the other one, I don't know where he is. There's a girl. We got this. Nice. 190 FPS around here using DLSS while splashing into the water. That's quite nice. But again, don't buy a 40 series card for 1080p gaming. It's not worth it. Let's go ahead and play without DLSS at 1440p. 2560 by 1440 using the same extreme settings preset without DLSS. Alright, dropping once again. And a few people dropped here as well. Let's start counting the frames. 130s and 120s. That's pretty good. Actually, at this resolution compared to the 3080 Ti, this does a way better job. Lower 100s in the water. That's still very buttery smooth. Higher 90s at times and mid 90s. Yeah, not a problem, guys. You will have a really good 1440p experience here with the 4070 Ti. And I think this is where it shines the most. 1440p is a very good balance between resolution and visuals for sure, especially compared to like 4K and 1080p. At 1080p, I feel like the resolution is a bit too small and you can't really spot people very well at the distance. And 4K, well, it's too demanding, in my opinion, for the gains that you get over 1440p, unless you are at like a 32-inch monitor or the 42-inch monitor. In this forest area, it's still buttery smooth. Very good to see that the FPS don't drop by that much. And we died, guys. So 69.1% lows, by the way. Very nice. Okay. This is very promising once again. DLSS is now enabled at 1440p on quality. Oh boy, a couple of people dropping really close to us. This is terrible. All right, let's start counting the frames. 90+% GPU utilization once again, which is nice to see, of course. That's what you want. And down here, not dropping from 100 anymore. Actually, not even dropping from 130, I think. That's really good. I don't see anybody running around here, so we might be good here, okay? Let's go down here. As usual, this is an underwater scenario. You might come across it every now and again. That's why I really like this benchmark run. First of all, it's in a super demanding area. And second, we got a little bit of city area FPS around here. We got a ton of water, which is really intensive. Absolutely amazing job at 1440p with DLSS, and if you don't mind using upscaling, it's really good. Around here, it gets around average FPS, so also pretty perfect in my opinion. 1440p runs fantastic. Now at 4K, is where things are just gonna get a little bit screwed. This is native 4K without any upscaling. The DLSS is off and still using the extreme settings. I'm not saying that this does a bad job at 4K resolution. Even at extreme settings, it is very playable right now. It might start stuttering a little bit because of that texture resolution, but not too bad right now, actually. Not feeling many stutters. Yeah. Oh, no! I hate it when this happens, guys. It's so annoying. I just wanted to complete my benchmark run. Let's see. Oh, both of them are right here. Oh, nice. We got a double kill. That's perfect. There is a camping bastard right there. Look at him. It's the guy who killed us, I think. We need to be careful when we get there, actually. He might hear our footsteps and stuff. 90s, 80s. Now, at 4K, it's a bit underwhelming, the performance of this card, because of the 192-bit memory buzz, I think. And it actually gets similar FPS to the RX 6900 XT in this game, which does a bit better, to be honest, than the 3080 Ti. 3080 Ti actually drops into the lower 50s in the water. This one doesn't, but the 6900 XT didn't even drop from 70, I believe. So that's very impressive for this game. AMD cards also do way better in Warzone 2 than Nvidia counterparts, so there's that as well. But as I was saying before I got myself killed, this is still very playable. Minimum FPS is like 60, so of course it's an amazing experience, especially for a 60 Hz 4K monitor, or if you're playing on a TV, for example, that's only 60 Hz. This is awesome. I'm not saying it's bad performance. I am saying that, for example, a 3090 Ti does a little bit better here at 4K, maybe like 5 to 10 more frames per second, whereas at 1440p, this actually does a bit better than 3090 Ti. Great performance nonetheless. And if you enable that DLSS on quality, things should be buttery smooth again. Oh my god, what a massive difference it makes. What the hell is that? Okay, let's start counting the frames. Around 100 in this little bit of a forest area. That's very impressive, actually. Definitely feels snappier right now with 69.1% lows. Amazing stuff, guys. I think this could be a decent option for 4K gaming. If the GPU was cheaper, it would be a nice entry-level 4K gaming card for sure, because it can actually max out a ton of titles and get 60 plus FPS at native resolution. It's just not a high refresh rate experience like the 4090 and 4080 can provide, even with ray tracing and everything else. It's a big shame that it's very expensive. Like the 3070 Ti was $200 cheaper MSRP. For a 70 Ti tier GPU, it's too much, as I said in my full review. Alright, it did better than what I was expecting. Maybe I forgot about the FPS that this got in the full review, you know. Maybe in the full review I was playing at max settings instead of extreme settings preset. Also, no major stuttering issues like I saw previously, so maybe at 1440p with medium textures, it was stuttering just because of the game itself and not really the VRAM being maxed out. Yes, I just want to check it out with balanced DLSS instead of quality DLSS, because balanced at 4K, especially on a smaller monitor like 32 inches and 27 inches, 28 inches, it looks really good still. Very close to the real deal, the quality DLSS or native resolution. You can still have an amazing looking game like this and super high quality, so, and with a ton of detail as well. And I'm really liking to see 69 FPS 1% lows very often right now. That's interesting. Okay, in the water it drops from 100 frames per second slightly, and we get around like what, 10 more FPS than what we were seeing on quality DLSS. In some other games, you see a bigger difference coming from quality DLSS to balanced. In this one, it's around like 10 frames per second. Good results indeed. I like the experience. I like what the 4070 Ti provides in terms of performance, even at 4K, as long as you use DLSS. What I don't like is just the price of these 40 series cards. Anyways, that's been it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Really hope it was enjoyable to watch and informative at the same time. And I'll be back very soon with another one, so stay tuned in for that. And as always, love you all. Bye-bye.